Oh yeah, welcome to another episode of Abby of the Lemur. Oh, crap. Well, it seems it's not running real heavily in the government or the military or anything like that, but it seems as though more and more people are finally acknowledging the fact that there was a separate race of human beings that came into existence right around the time of World War II. I think most of them cropped up around New Mexico, and a lot of that could, of course, have been because of the atomic testing. And if you want to look, I think that particular race of people just kind of proliferated between the 40s and the 50s before people finally realized there was something going on and decided to snuff them all out. You know, I've heard a lot of stuff about how a lot of the kind of mixed races of people, like the Melungeons and the Kallikaks and whatnot, were kind of targeted by the eugenics crowd, and real nasty business. You know, they took all these people, doctored up pictures of them so they looked like they were cavemen or whatever, and you know, just basically hounded those people out of existence. And you know, the government's really not owning up to any of that kind of activity as far as this particular race of people went. But if you ever knew any of them or saw any pictures of them, and unfortunately, you know, these people's pictures were not doctored. Just literally children of the atom, I guess you could say.
Good morning, I'm Burson Getrix Jones, and I'm here to talk to you about petunias and canned chili. You know, ever since Superman defeated the communists, which we talked about in last time's installment, you know, a lot of things have happened on the world stage, such as Cubism, and anyhow, we'd like to say a few words about that, and perhaps earwax. And you know, kids, you need to be safe when building those forest fires so you don't get caught and get your ass stomped by Smokey Bear. And so anyway, back in the days when I was in my bisexual phase and was dating Betty Crocker, we used to hang out with Salvador Dali, and we would be hanging around painting lampshades. And it was just the coolest thing, like watching paint dry. And it was absolutely fantabulous, you know what I mean? But I soon grew weary of it. I broke up with Betty and moved on to bigger and better things, like, you know, repelling the Empire State Building. And I know some of you kids out there, some of you wise-asses out there don't think that Burson Getrix Jones really repelled the Empire State Building, but doom on you, because it's true. Doom on you, because it's true. And so anyway, but it was soon after that I was elevated to Imperial Banana Goddess and the Grand Emperor of Pancakes. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about entrails. You know, you're lucky you've got them. Entrails. You better thank God for your entrails, because where would you be without them? All those guts stuffed up inside of you, where would you be without them? You think you're so smart, you kids, with your tennis shoes and your brain cells and all of that, but, you know, you better be on your knees thanking God Almighty for your guts. And anyway, that reminds me, back in World War II when I was stranded in the Philippines with nothing but a box of matches, and anyway, no, we won't go into that. It's just unpleasant memories. So, let's talk about my past life as a medieval cowherd and gaucho. And anyway, Vercingetorix Jones wasn't Vercingetorix Jones back then, but you know, I liked to grow violets, and I had to milk cows for a living, and I had to pitch afterbirth and all that stuff. I was pitching the afterbirth, and so and so boom, and then so the Enola Gay dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and cows. And so anyway, do you know how many udders a cow has? I bet you do, because you're like smart and all that. See, I hate smart people. See, I hate smart people. See, I hate smart people.
I'm perfectly happy working, living in my own home, my best friend and lover by my side. Now this disease has hit me smack in the back of the head, and my life is crumbling before my eyes. Everything that means something to me is now gone. I can't work anymore, so here I sit worrying, how will I pay the rent, pay the bills, go to the doctor, or even feed the two of us? Now my home is gone, so I sit worrying about how will I be able to put a roof over our heads, knowing I'm helpless to do anything. Now he's left and all my self-worth has gone with him, because I will never know if it was because I wasn't able to keep my promise to take care of him, because he was just a poisonous smiling snake. I find out what friendship really means to some people. It means that they are happy to chat and sympathize with you about your problems, but when it comes right down to it, they aren't willing to even make a phone call on your behalf, let alone offer to share, even for a moment, something that could mean so much to another. I find that too many liked me just because I bought things when they wanted them, and yet none are willing to give me something so simple as a warm place to sleep, or food when I haven't eaten in days, or even come to sit, hold my hand as I'm wishing I could just die.
Oh, shit. I wonder if anybody fucking called.
Message 1.
I decided when I die, I want my body taken to a public place and blown up with dynamite. And just, hopefully my innards will, hit parked cars and, ruin them and stuff like that. I just gave it some thought. I think that'd be a cool way to go out. Anyway, just thinking out loud.
9:06 p.m. Saturday. End of messages.
A lot of their faces were just kind of distorted. They did have the kind of low foreheads, a lot of them, and the protruding brow, would you say? I don't know, just kind of slope-browed people, and their noses and mouths were all kind of fucked up, and they had all kinds of problems. A lot of the time they were hard to understand. I know a lot of people who went through the belief that a lot of them were retarded, or a lot of them were just stupid and incapable of really learning the way most of us learn. They were actually intelligent people, and a lot of the time you couldn't understand what they were saying. It wasn't like they developed their own language. They spoke English, but at least the ones here in America, I don't know what happened with that particular race in other countries, but they just kind of had this sort of pidgin English going. Most of them couldn't use their vocal cords very well, and they just kind of talked like they just jabbered. They were all sad. They just kind of jabbered, kind of spoke their own deranged form of English. A lot of them did have kind of natural technological savvy. They didn't know what to do with it. For the most part, you had a lot of these people who were just, I don't know, a lot of these folks were well, they were deformed. You know, what can you say? It was the nuclear testing and everything else that came out deformed. They were their own separate race of people that came out. They were deformed. You know, people that had like arms missing. And you see sometimes even some of the younger kids just sitting there with like little soldering guns, taking a bunch of metal rods and pulleys and whatever, trying to solder them on, create like an artificial arm. It didn't always work out the way it should. I mean, they did have an amount of technological savvy, but it didn't always work out the way it should have.
It's a new craze. It's out there. It's crazy.